Hey guys, how's it going? Sky here with another Exos series video, and in today's video I want to talk about Xiakhan here. I want to go over his kit, I want to talk about where he's useful, what I think about this character, and potentially other game modes to use him in, because I think he's an important character to talk about because he's one of the lieutenants for the Raquel faction. I think these characters are probably something that people are interested in. Where I like to start is with the kit, and then I'll kind of go over what I think about him as I'm talking about his moves. So before we get in this video, if we can get a like on the video, that'd be awesome. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new here for more Exos series content. And so with that out of the way, let's get back into the video. Okay, so the first thing, he's a thrust 3 character. So upon taking damage, deals damage 30% and inflicts stun on the attacker for 5 turns. When the attack hits, gain mana if the health of the target is 80% or more, and then removes 1 mana from the target and gains mana to self if health of the target is 30% or less. I'm a fan of this Thrust 3 passive. Really the only meta character that has it currently is Valar and Xiakhan. I think it's solid. Harbinger of Awakening. Afflicts Mark of Revenge to the enemy that kills an ally. This buff is removed when the target with Mark of Revenge is killed or damaged by Harbinger of Awakening, and activates Awakening effects of all allies with the Awakening skill. I'm a big fan of this passive. I think it's just kind of a cool idea where if someone on their team kills one of your members, then you hit them, you get all these buffs as like a revenge style mechanic. And normally the stats of the revenge style, like when you're actually awakened, usually make sense. But as we're going to see with this character, that these stats don't make sense at all, because all his moves are going to be attack based, but then the buff he's getting, it's like speed, which is good, but then it's increases own block by 360 and decreases critical hit by 180, can't be removed, which I don't like at all, because if we look at the rest of his kit, it's all going to be moves that are trying to do damage. That's just a bizarre way of doing utility. Usually characters like this have moves that are trying to benefit the team and be a supportive unit, not they're having this and then doing damage. Okay, so then lastly, he also has this increases block of allies by 150% of own block for 1 round at the start of the round, removed when ally is attacked. I think this is a cool idea, because I just think it's implemented horribly, because block is just a random thing anyway. And for you to have this increase a block on all allies by 150% of own block for 1 round, and then for it to be removed once attacked, it completely defeats the purpose, in my opinion, because what if they just hit like normal? And then you have this passive that all you ended up doing is just increasing the odds of you getting a block, and then you never get the block, and then the passive's gone. Which is just dumb to me. If it was like lasted for 3 turns per character or something like that, I think that would make a lot more sense. Like increasing the odds of something happening, it needs to be over than just 1 time, because that's just like normal block, just a little bit better. I just don't think it's very good especially when you compare it to a passive like Tantalo that not only reduces when you get critically hit, it reduces that damage and then gives damage immunity. It's like not even comparable in the slightest on how good of a buff that's trying to help your team is. So I think it's a horrible passive. I think his passive doesn't make any sense, and here, let's get in the rest of his kit to find out why. So then, here's his moves though. Single target, deals 375% damage to 1 enemy. That sounds really good, especially with the Decimate, guarantees critical hit if the target is disheartened. But if you look at his base stats, he has horrible attack stats. So having a relatively high modifier on a A1 of 375%, that's actually really good. Like for example, Xion's move is a 300% modifier, or Rare's is a 300%. And so that sounds really good. But when you have a base attack stat that's really low, even if you're guaranteeing a critical hit, it doesn't hit that hard. So that's a bummer. And then, especially when you compare that kind of a move, that kind of you would think that would be on something like a Baraka, like a fast character that has high attack, but no, they gave it to a thrust character who's not slow. It's like right in the middle range of attack speed, but the base attack is very low. So a really unfortunate way of making his kit, in my opinion. And so then he has this A2, which is more of the same. Deals 255% damage to all enemies on an AoE. That's actually decent, especially when it's guaranteed to critically hit. But again, low attack stat doesn't really matter. Doesn't do that much damage. Then the passive doesn't make sense with an attack style character. So and then on top of that, like thrust is a reactive move, so he needs to get hit for thrust to go off. You don't want him to get hit. He wants to hit them. And then the thrust passive, when it hits, is only a 30% modifier on an already horrible attack set. His kit makes absolutely no sense in my mind. And then when we go to Signature Force, so the Raquel faction, he's the lieutenant. He's like the first one. So on Signature Force 1.4, his stats get boosted. So it's kind of a hit to the Raquel faction because I can't ever justify using him in any content. I was really trying to rack my brain on which content would he be good in. And I feel like he's probably better than some legendary characters. If you're brand new to the game and you need a character and you happen to pull Raquel, you throw him on the team, maybe he's actually kind of nice. But he falls off real hard, real quick as you pull better characters. And in this game, when it comes to actually leveling characters, because the only choice we have is really how far do we want to invest in the character? Because when it comes to Awakening Stones, that seems to be pretty fixed. When it comes to, should I go for ultimate orbs, it's not really about the choice of the ultimate orbs. It's about, do I even put ultimate orbs on this character? And when it comes to investing, I don't think investing is worth it on this character. He's just not going to be that useful. If there was like choices on gear or some kind of thing to where it's like, how far to invest in, choice in this game really just comes down to how much of investment do you want to put on this character, and I would put almost zero. The only benefits you're really going to gain from this guy are going to be, if you pull him, it's not a total waste because the core memory of that he's with is actually pretty good. So pulling him is not that bad. So if you keep getting fusions of him, it's still helping you and your clanmates out, also your friends list. And then also if you invest in him, you're helping your raid for raid damage, but that's really it. I can't ever think of a time I would use him in any PvE content. I would like specifically choose him. If they ever make a content where you absolutely need a crit, you can't do damage unless you crit, like he's damage immune to everything except critical hits, then boom, you found your guy. He's the guy to pick. But that's really all I can think of him as a character. So, and then also, I just wanted to show this. When it comes to the Signature Force, since he's up here, he's on, I believe he's 1.4 on Signature Force for the Raquel faction right here. Yeah. So it grants this buff here. So he gets all these extra stats here. And normally, these lieutenant characters are actually really good and super viable. Pretty much every single one of them. Like Greenland has Rara. Janai has Jin. He's kind of fallen off, but he's still way better than Xiakhan. Then for Wasted Red, you have Rudely, who's absolutely incredible. And then over here in Northbound Frosty, you have Valentina, I believe. Yeah. So normally these factions have like their best character with them in that area. And for Raquel's faction, you have to go all the way up to like 2.3 to get Baraka, which is a bummer. Like imagine how much better this faction would be if you were able to give those stats to like Xeon or someone actually viable, like April, Xeon, and not have to wait all the way until 2.3 to get the stat boost there. Because the other factions get multiple characters that are going to get those extra stats that you're totally using on your team. So it's just kind of a bummer for that faction. So that's really it when it comes to the review of Xiakhan. Unfortunately, I wanted to explain why he's just not that viable. And it's because of how counterintuitive his kit is. And hopefully I explained that. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Xiakhan, whether you use him. If you do use him, please tell me where you use him so I can kind of get an idea. That's going to be it. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.